1, 2, 3.
On the Texas A&M Sports Network from Learfield, welcome to the Coach Jimbo Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Also brought to you in part by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. And by Bud Light, it's for the fans. Now, welcome to the Coach Jimbo Show.
Howdy, and welcome to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It is presented by Capital Farm Credit. I'm Andrew Monaco, and we are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road in College Station, as we will talk Aggie football for the next hour with head coach Jimbo Fisher. We are so glad that you are joining us all along the Texas A&M Sports Network. Perhaps you are streaming our show on the Texas A&M Football Facebook page. Don't forget to check in. We love to see where you are watching, whether it's around the state, around the country, or around the world. Or maybe you're joining us on the 12th Man mobile app. Coming up on the show, we will review the win in Missouri last Saturday, 35-14. That upped the Aggies' record to 5-2, and now they're ranked number 17 in the country. And up next is the South Carolina Gamecocks coming to Kyle Field. That will be a 6:30 kick. SEC Network will have that. 5:30 for our St. Joseph Health pregame show all along our network. But when we come back, we'll have the head coach, Jimbo Fisher. It's the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, and it's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Barker's Heating and Cooling, proud to be the official heating and cooling provider for Aggie Athletics, earning your seal of approval since 1979. A lot has changed since then, but our pride in Aggie football and our commitment to providing great service remains as strong as ever. Pregame Aggies, it is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. I'm Andrew Monaco, coming off the win over Missouri, now 5-2, 2-2 now in conference play. Back-to-back wins. As I asked you in your office earlier this afternoon, team matured a little bit. They grew up a little bit. They passed a little bit of a test last Saturday, didn't they?
Well, I mean, they learned to keep preparing, even though you had to come off a big win, and quit listening to all that clutter and all the greatness from that, which is part of it. But you still, you can enjoy it, but you got to learn from it. But you got to prepare for the next game. And coming out with energy, played well early, especially in an early ball game, and got off to a really good start in the game. Yeah, that energy, you carried that into Faroe Field, and you said two of the most important things. Turnovers, big plays. You got that turnover, the interception by Jalen Jones. Turnovers and converted turnovers. Then converted them and then continued to drive the football offense. They got big plays on offense, created big runs, great passes, critical third down. You got to remember, 2 of the first 3 drives we scored on third down conversions in the red zone. That's huge. I mean, getting the touchdowns out of that, not being 13-0, being 21-0. And, defense got another turnover and played really well. I was very pleased with both lines of scrimmage. Offensive, defensive lines of scrimmage, I think, played very well. I think we're very opportunistic in how we played, and I think that allowed us to control the game. And then when they did make runs and get back in it, twice offensively, we took long drives, scored right back, and answered right back both times after both of their scores the very next drive, which is big because you get the momentum of the game back. That's what's nice to see in the last couple of weeks is winning the lines of scrimmage, as you always say, guys with the hands in the dirt. And you are seeing this team answer. Yeah, answer offensively, defensively, getting stops, getting scores when you have to, and match. And you got to match people. I mean, listen, they're on scholarship too. They're going to make plays and they're going to do things. And you got to match that. You got to keep and control the momentum of the game. That's when the games really get out of control, is when the momentum gets out of control. You make a great point, though, about the touchdowns in the red zone, Jimbo, because if it's 3 field goals and Missouri's only down 9-0 at the end of the first quarter, right, they're in a different mood. 21-0's well, I mean, it's even 13-0. If you score 1, kick 2, that's still 2 plays. That's score a play, get a turnover, and all of a sudden, you're back in the ball game. And that's where, getting 3 score leads and doing that is huge. It's huge. The offensive line, you have 2 100-yard rushers, and then on that defensive line, you contained a very good running back. Yeah, we did. He's had 2 200-yard games. And we misfit 1 run, let him pop out there. And we still should have got him on the ground for about a 10 or 15-yard gain. It didn't do that. It was disappointing. But other than that, I mean, we were really physical up front, affected the quarterback, batted balls, sacked him, got after him, and then, got some turnovers out of it. From that offensive line, Jimbo, you keep talking, we have kept talking about getting that experience. Is that experience now of 7 weeks in starting to kick in? Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and knowing what – and here's more important, not just the experience of play, the experience of knowing how to prepare to practice, how hard you have to practice, how much details in practice. As a freshman, you think, well, it's every day, and how you got to grind, and how much wear and tear, not just physically, but mentally preparing for a game is.
They've never gone through that before.
No, they
right?
didn't. They don't know. They don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to educate, and you can honestly tell someone until it finally starts to sink in, and then they have success with it. Oh, now I get it. And we're getting to that point, so hopefully it'll pay off.
And really seeing in the practices not just the reminders to one another about the tempo and the details and things like that, but when there is a very good play, I love to see that joy spread throughout, whether it's on the offensive or the defensive field.
And because it takes all of them to make the play. That's the thing about football, man. Somebody gets rewarded with a great play, and he gets his name in the paper. But if 10 other guys don't do the job, it ain't happening, whether it's offense or defense. And our guys understand that, and they're starting to appreciate that.
And then playing that, like you say, instead of 10, now with the 11, these are the results. And when you like these results, you want to keep doing what you did to get those results.
And listen, you'll get the results if the process is right. If you're doing things for the right, even if you make mistakes for the right reason, that's better than getting good results for the wrong reason.
That's the skipping steps, right?
Exactly right.
And that becomes the habit.
That will catch up to you quickly.
Absolutely. He's Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, who are 5-2 and ranked number 17, taking on South Carolina on Saturday, 6:30 at Kyle Field. Stay with us, the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We'll return to Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. This is Aggie football from Learfield. The new Brookshire Brothers across from Kyle Field was built for Aggies. There's a bar serving coffee, wine, and beer, a full-service pharmacy, and great values on groceries. You'll love their grab-and-go meals only at Brookshire Brothers. So much more than a grocery store. We are so glad you are with us for the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Here we go. Let's start in Texas. Midland, New Braunfels, Dallas, Fort Worth, Nederland, Big Spring, Flatonia, San Antonio, Pflugerville, College Station, the Upper Texas Gulf Coast has checked in. Alabama, Illinois, New Orleans, Connecticut, Antelope, Oregon, Russell, Kansas. I love when they check in from Athens, Georgia, and Southwest Florida, Australia. Olga is in, and howdy from South Korea tonight.
Wow.
Coach? We're all over the world, baby.
Aggies everywhere, baby.
Absolutely.
Aggies everywhere.
Everywhere.
Really are.
You know what? It's amazing. What
really
we have
is.
in the past, Qatar, because we have a campus in Qatar, checks in. Germany as well. It's awesome.
It is.
Absolutely awesome. Philip has the first question. He finished his homework, so he gets the first question.
All right, buddy.
Your team was very good in the first quarter, but they slowed down. How will you keep a good pace?
Well, I mean, you got to understand the other guy's going to make some plays. We got a penalty after the turnover that got us. We had the ball first and 15. We had the ball first and 10 on the 15, got a penalty, and we missed a field goal. Then we had a drop ball on third down. Then we converted a touchdown. They scored, then we scored a touchdown. Then we had a 2-minute. You just got to keep focused. You got to forget the last play and remember the next one's the most important, and just keep driving, and keep getting better.
It was nice to win the coin toss because you love to have the ball last in the second quarter and first
we were
and third
0 for
quarter.
6 on coin toss. I was about to send. I told him the last time I'm gonna make 4 new captains. Y'all can't win a coin toss to save your life. I'm about to change them over. I don't care if they're good players or not.
Indoors, outdoors, grass, turf. It didn't matter where they were.
I said,
called.
daggone, y'all the worst. Don't ever go to Vegas with me. They couldn't win nothing.
Do not listen to them. Yeah, that was nice. But you love that. You love that double dip, right?
You do. I mean, we scored once, and we almost had the second score. We threw that ball. We had a chain for a touchdown right before the half, and then kick. Then what was disappointing? We did that. Then come out and got a 3-and-out, which we missed a pass, had a penalty, and then it came up a yard short on the run. Then gave up a 95, 97-yard drive.
Yeah.
And they got back to 28-14. I'm going, wait a minute, that's usually what we do. Mm-hmm. But then we took the drive. Next drive went 75 yards straight down the field and scored offensively and answered back, which is big. But we didn't do our normal deal there, and it was very disappointing.
You had a lot of confidence running the ball, even on the third downs, third and longs. Devon A.
Well, wait, here's what you get into. People now, a lot more people are dropping 8. And what I mean by that, there's nowhere to throw the ball down the field. I mean, you can find holes, and then they rush or they blitz. So when you do that, and you can get some good gap runs, and you can hit that, you can get the first 8-10 yards. You can get a back a one-on-one on a safety. He makes him miss. You can pick up a 14 or 15-yard game, which we did in the red zone on the run, and we almost on the 3rd and 15 we got 14.
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot more to steal. You can steal those plays like that just as well. It's like hitting a pass and running. It's hard to hit the deep balls because they drop the deep, make you throw underneath to a moving guy. Well, it's the same thing. You hand it to him. And we did that twice in that game, and it really helped us out.
One thing I really like about so many things you like about Isaiah Spiller, but on that run, I know it was 14 yards after the mark. They went back and reviewed it, but he knew exactly where that first down marker was.
Yep, he was. And almost got there and, get that pad level down just a little quicker and get in there. But, they're aware. Listen, football and situational awareness is playing situational football is key, and that's what we're getting better at. We're educating ourselves, and, of course, those guys are experienced, and they should be doing it.
Yeah, and then with Devon, as I said, it was Isaiah 20 carries, 168. Devon 16 carries, 124. You mentioned something on Monday. The days of that bellwether back carrying it 35 times is gone in college football for the most part, isn't it? It's nice to have two.
Well, you're playing more games. Your season's longer, everything's – and it just keeps you healthy. Yeah,
and you always talk about the complete backs, and for these guys, and you've said time and again, it doesn't matter if Isaiah's the fullback and Devon's the tailback, Anias is the fullback and Isaiah's the tailback.
They all block, they catch,
they love that,
they
don't
run.
They love being complete.
Well, you got to be. If you're going to play this game and play at the next level, you go look. Those guys catch as many balls almost as they run. And then they got to pick up. You got to be a pass pro guy. You be able to do all those things, and just the way the game is now.
And that's the way to keep the defense on its heels, right? With those guys coming out of the backfield.
There's mismatches at receiver. You can mismatch a linebacker on the back or a tight end. There's a lot of mismatch guys, and when those guys can catch, it just adds to their value.
Anias Smith is really starting to become someone that Zach can rely on. Is he not?
He's playing really good football.
And that's that rapport that you don't always get if you don't have that time that Zach's getting with all his receivers.
You're starting to get that, and he's starting to get used to those guys, and they're getting used to him, and we're getting better at it.
Anias said on Monday, he said, look, I told Zach, when you need me, you can depend on me. You love having that kind of – we've talked leadership and ownership, and Anias said, hey, you can trust me to be open.
And that's what he's got to be for us.
Yeah. Anias Smith and the Fighting Texas Aggies, part of that victory over Missouri on Saturday. South Carolina is next. Much more of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. We'll return to Rudy's. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Fans, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to provide a trip for 12 to the LSU game on November 27th. To register for the 12th Fan trip, visit 12thman.com/12thfan. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud corporate partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Tyler, Texas is in, DC's in, Hilliard, Ohio, and Pepe's in Costa Rica because there is a research biological center there in Costa Rica for A&M. And they are all just checking. And Effie has checked in as well from Australia. Someone also on Facebook, the stream, wanted an update on the Kids First Fund. We'll give you the total as of today. $177,000.
Wow.
$17.98 raised as of today.
Amazing.
The Corps of Cadets today had a Be the Match bone marrow drive. Yeah. 88 cadets signed up for that. This is the second drive. My understanding is in the first drive they had two matches. They were able to save a life.
They were.
Because of that.
It's amazing. I mean, just being able to get in a drive like that and how simple it is to be able to save someone's life. And what's a greater gift?
Yeah.
I mean, we're on this earth and we can help save someone's life. There's not a greater gift in this world.
There isn't.
And it's amazing. And thank God for those folks and thank those cadets for doing that.
Is this why you were so adamant with what you said on Monday about Texas A&M?
Everything about A&M. It's not just about the ball and the coach. It's just the whole community. It's just what it stands for.
Yeah.
Everything it stands for and what it is.
We've talked about the embracing where the fans have embraced you, but, Jimbo, you've embraced them back.
Well, it's easy. I mean, and what I mean, they're genuine, they're honest, they're good people. You know where you stand. My dad used to have a saying called them real people. I mean, there's real people and there's fake people. You can tell it in 2 seconds. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. I just who I am, and that's how. I mean, I just feel comfortable.
Yeah, and
they make me feel comfortable.
Your dad could see right through it, couldn't he?
Oh Lord,
he wanted nothing.
And they could see through me when I was telling the story too. That didn't feel good.
I can just imagine. I
told one of our kids that today.
Didn't you?
We saw them. They never give me their opinion. I said, listen, when I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. You know what I mean? I said, you know what your problem is? Your old man never whipped your tail enough when you was a kid. I said, that's your problem. Sometimes a little fear ain't bad.
You always knew where your parents stood.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
And there's nothing more that loved you, but right was right, wrong was wrong, and there was no gray area.
And it was that consistency.
It was.
Right? The consistent message, which goes into the coaching part as well.
Well,
right?
it does. I mean, that's what coaching is. Parenting, it's teaching, it's all those involved.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, you're trying to mold them for life, and it ain't nothing wrong with getting on them every now and then.
Ryan has a question. Says, "Hey, Coach, I'm a student here, and I've recently decided to change my major. Something I've always been interested in is college football and coaching, but there's not really a degree for that."
Don't do it. Don't do it. Go enjoy your life.
How do you get into coaching or involved in college football in general?
Well, I mean, listen, I had a sports management. I was going for a business management degree. I knew I wanted to coach, but I had a business management degree, and then sports management came in my junior year. That was when it first became relevant. You know what I mean? And I thought, I wanted to go into it. So I got front office work, how to control those type of things. So I bridged over into that because I wanted, I was thinking if I want to ever become a GM or something that way and learn how the management styles of that, I knew I wanted to coach. You're kind of leaving those doors open. You don't have to have a PE degree or a coaching degree or anything like. I mean, if you really want to go in coaching, the number one degree you ought to get? Psychology. And I'm not. I mean, everybody jokes, but that's the truth. Mm-hmm. It's like being understand different people, how to motivate them, how to make them tick, how to get things going, and how to make things happen. That's, Jimmy Johnson was a psychology major.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. I mean, it's a very. If you want to get into that would be my suggestion if you want to know the truth about it. And I'll say the other thing. And I'll tell us about coaching. And I say this all the time. If you can live it, can you not live if you coach? I mean, if you don't coach, will it kill you where you're going to be totally miserable? If the answer is no, and you can do something else and be happy, go do it. Mm-hmm. Go do it. I'll tell you that right now. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to coach, it is a complete invested lifestyle. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and that is no joke. It will never end. It's a grind. Now, I loved it, and I've never had a job in my life, and I can't live without it. So I don't look at it as a job. Mm-hmm. But if you can live without it, go do it. If you can't, then coach. That's my best advice for you.
On an upcoming show, we're going to have to revisit what it was like when you were an assistant, because it's one of my favorite stories of having to exchange tape with teams, having to cut tape for teams.
When you had those 16 millimeter, the kids today I'll put it this way, I'll bet he wouldn't coach if he had to do what we had to do. You had to have 16 millimeter tape, the old reels, okay? And we never got to watch a lot of practice tape because you couldn't get it processed back in the day. Then when VHS came out, being able to have a VHS camera, that was the greatest thing ever invented. Then you had super VHS, but it was even better quality. Kids like, what are you talking about? I have a tape, like tape, old cassette cassette decks and all that stuff. Tape, kids in the day, and you used to make cut-ups. Like if you had your game tapes of the 16 millimeter, all right, and when you went through and they were on at the end of that play was a display, you would cut it. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that was that was a sweep, that was a pass, that was whatever pass you had, you labeled them. And we had a whole room full, I'm talking about a giant room, with tape stickers at the top with those plays. And you go through every game tape of the season and cut every play out, you named it, and you hung it on the tape, and you hung them by the tape, and you hung them up there. You cut them out, and they'd be in long strips hanging, 6 foot high and be on the ground. And then you went back, and you had a splicer, and you spliced every one of those plays together to create a teaching reel for the next year on everything you did. Now, and then you'd have them all up in there, maybe 80. They'd run that play 70 times a year, and you have them all taped up there. Then the tape would give away and fall on the floor. And it would it would take you hours. And then you'd splice it together. You splice it upside down. You splice it backwards. You'd have to recut it and redo. To be able to teach and do it, it was kids today would quit in 3 seconds. It really was. Because that's the only way, but it's the only way you could teach. Yeah. And to give cut-ups and do those things, man. Old 16 millimeter film. Like if you played a game, all right, Saturday, you never got your film out time at noon on Sunday. Best in those millimeters. So you had to watch it, grade it, and they wouldn't make you another copy. You couldn't mail it, so the other team had to get it because now you just put it on the internet and send it out. Well, if you never got the other team's tape, so like Sunday night, you would get done with your stuff watching, and like you'd call the other team, whoever that was, and they were 6 hours away. All right, you drive 3 hours, I'll drive 3 hours. We'll meet at so-and-so gas station or whatever, a hotel or, just a parking lot or whatever. And You take your tape, they take their extra tape. You'd exchange it, and that would be, you pick it up. If you left at 11, that'd be get there at 2, get back at 5. 5 or 6 in the morning, then start watching, and you don't go to bed because that's Monday. You got to have it ready for practice and all that, and you start breaking it down, getting it ready for the coaches, doing it. And like Monday until Tuesday night, you never slept. So you drive all Saturday night after the game or Sunday, whenever you did it, got all that tape, and then that's what you did. That's how you exchange tape.
Different era.
Oh, that was in the 80s, man. Dadgum. I guess that is a long time ago.
You wouldn't change a thing, though, would you?
No, those rides, you always had somebody to ride with you. You had coffee. You made somebody go with you because if you fell asleep, to keep you awake and make sure you did that, you didn't fall asleep. And if you had if you're up north, you're going through snowstorms, you're going through ice storms, you're going through, because it didn't matter. You had to go.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what the weather was, didn't matter what anything was. You had to get there or your team couldn't play.
Yeah, yeah. Ryan, also to let you know, there's a coaching academy on campus, on the West Campus. My partner for basketball, Dr. John Thornton, is a part of that. It's going to become the Thornton.
But the best thing to do is try to get into, come on, whether it's here or wherever you're at, try to get into, being a student assistant, doing whatever you got to do, get involved and learn it from the ground up, and that's what we all do.
Yeah, and then eventually you just keep on moving up.
And don't look for no money. But now, why start? Well, that ain't enough money to start out. You shouldn't even get paid. You're an intern. Seriously, we never had no money.
Your first paying job, how much were you getting?
My first paying job, I was a quarterback because of GA. I just made GA. Then when I got done, I immediately made the offense coordinator. We went to national playoffs, went national semis and national quarterfinals. I was the offense coordinator, 1AA program, really good program. I made $14,000 a year. I didn't get into coaching for money. I couldn't pay my rent. My rent in the car, I couldn't have a decent car drive around in, and you couldn't pay it.
Yeah.
$14,000 a year, $8,000 a month. And we were one of the top 4 teams in the country.
I was just going to say, you were winning.
Yeah.
You guys were winning.
And there were guys on the staff that made more than me, but they had families, and I understood that. I didn't have a family at the time, so even though I was a coordinator, they may be assistant coach. Terry paid, he paid them a little more money, but they had family. I understood that. So I didn't care because money didn't matter to me. Money didn't matter. I didn't get into coaching for money.
Yeah.
I never did.
Yeah.
And I remember when I went to Auburn in 1993 as a quarterback coach, I made $40,000. The highest I ever made at Auburn was $57,000. When in 1990 we left in '98, made $57,000. And when I took the OC job at LSU in 2000 for Nick, I made $120,000. That was it. And every year was a 1-year contract. You never had no 2-year contract. You won, you got another year. You didn't win, you went home. And he didn't have no money, it was over with. Yeah. You lived on 1-year contracts. He come up after a year and said, well, I gave you a 2-year contract. I thought I died and went to heaven. Asked for a 2-year contract. He got it to me. He said, coordinator will put you on a 2-year contract. You're doing a good job. I said, oh, my. I almost kissed him. To have a 2-year, at least, if I did get fired, I had 1 year at least I could survive on. We never had that.
Yeah.
We never did have that. Most ever had. Then I got a 3 until I became a head coach. You got a 5. But, you didn't have those things like they have today and what you started out in.
So if that's what you want, Ryan, there you go. There's your answer. Thank you for that question. Absolutely appreciate it. More of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back to Rudy's. This is Aggie football from Learfield. We all know that queso practically flows through the veins of every Texan at Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill. Queso is their pro-style offense. Costa Vida is proud to partner with Texas A&M Athletics. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. Back to our questions. Ian would like to know what part...
Ian, we're not answering Ian's question.
No, okay, so we're going to Steve. This will be the last one. We'll stay.
No, man.
What part of the game should fans pay more attention to?
Wow. Huh. I don't know what they pay attention to. They're always following the ball.
They're following the ball.
You're always going to follow the ball. But, I think in the trenches, I guess when you really get down to it in the lines of scrimmage and you can start to really see who's going to control the game. You know what I mean? If the leakage and guys are really getting physically whipped inside. And at the end of the day, it gets down to those lines of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? And really studying the consistency in which both sides play for.
Wasn't that the best part of John Madden? Introducing us to offensive and defensive line.
Exactly right. And understanding how it controls the game, which allows everything else to function. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the backers, the secondary, rushing the passer, covering guys, or being able with your quarterback and your receivers and your line. And it's hard to totally understand, but, man, it's just you have no – when you can control that line of scrimmage, man, how big a difference it makes.
Yeah, I was talking with Todd Ellis, who does South Carolina. The one-time quarterback there is now doing their games. And we'll talk about South Carolina a little bit, but he was talking about their defensive tackles on their D-line have been so instrumental to the success of that defense. And John Madden he introduced us to those guys, and it was a personality. You knew who the quarterbacks were and the running backs and the skills guys, and that's what I loved about John. That and the passion.
Well, the passion, but the coach and understand how those other guys get to function. Mm-hmm. Those guys up there can play and do the things I mean, you go to all the great teams and the great dynasties in which you had. I mean, the Cowboys, they had the great wall. They call them the Great Wall. You go back to the Steelers with Mike Webster and Kolb and those guys, how physical and tough. The Raiders, Upshaw and Shell. I mean, the 49ers, you talk about all their skill, but you go back, man, they had great linemen. The centers, Cross and those guys. Yeah. And Fanhorst on the 71 and 74 from Auburn. I mean, those guys all were great. I mean, great offensive linemen. I mean, even New England's done it. I mean, all those teams, it just the fronts. Yeah. The fronts.
Shanahan did it with the Broncos.
And the great defense. Think about it. The steel curtain. Mm-hmm. The Purple People Eaters back in the day. Dallas had Doomsday.
Yep.
I mean, the Raiders had all those guys in which they had.
Yeah.
I mean, and you go back. I mean, Dallas had all the pass rushers in which they had, and it's just it controlled the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it's fun to look off the ball a lot of times. Steve wants to know, having a bye weekend next week, what do you like to do on your off week?
Get ready for the next on week. I mean, there's no such thing as an off week. I mean, you'll take a day Sunday a little bit and part of Monday, get your mind right and spend a little time with the family. But then you're back in because Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday you're working on your next 4 opponents, things which they do. The film's broken down, little parts of them that'll be really things that your kids, they introduce them a couple different days early from things, and we'll work fundamentals to death. Get back to fundamental football. We ain't worrying the game plan, and plus on that time, and then. Let's try to pick and choose and get some of your young guys ready to play and get ready to go. And that off, and then you're recruiting. You're recruiting your tails off. Yeah. I mean, it's about getting good players, and that it's off and on. You just get to get back to basics a little bit.
And for Halloween, do you dress up?
No. I tell you what I love to do though. I love being home on Halloween, which I don't. I love kids coming to the house and give out candy. Mm-hmm. I really did. I mean, I loved Halloween as a kid with nothing better. You knew the houses always give good stuff, and the people say, "What do you want?" I say, "Buy the best. I don't care. I want the biggest candy bars. I want the biggest stuff. When those kids come, I want them to have." My wife always they'll say, "What do you want?" I say, "What do you want? Take it." I'm bad about that. I think it's awesome.
We're all going to Jimbo's house this Halloween. How many miles did you have to go when you trick or treated as a kid?
Oh, you're in the country where I was, and they didn't drive you around the cars back then. They said, "You want to go, go." But you could, here's what's crazy. You could trust, and it's a different day and time. Like now, you have to drive them around, even in the cities. I remember I was 7, 8, 9 years old, and like my grandmother lived 2 or 3 miles, and I'm talking about country roads and towns, and we just head up an old dirt road to the 3 houses up there, and down that holler to 3 houses up there, and we were all over the place, and we may be out 4, 5, 6 hours. I mean, it was a blast. I mean, to come back and sometimes load up and you fill up. I got to go home, dump it off, and go back and get more. I mean, you go back and get more. I mean, you spent – it was a great time. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that anymore.
No.
And some people stop trick-or-treating. Some people – I mean, it's a shame how it's went.
It's for the kids.
It is. It's about the kids, but the danger of the kids and turning your kids loose.
Yeah.
You can't do it nowadays, and it's a shame. Either you – were people just as bad back then, or maybe our parents just didn't care, huh? They tried to get rid of it. I think some of them they wanted to. Once you pick him up, they knew they'd give him back in an hour or two, so they weren't worried about it.
They're not going to be able to keep Jimbo that long, right?
Or whoever else, but every kid did. I think every parent did. Our whole neighborhood was out doing this stuff.
You might be onto something here now. You know that.
The parents might have been trying to get rid of us.
He's Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. We'll continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, and this is Aggie football from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit, together, we're better. This Saturday, 6:30, Aggies and the South Carolina Gamecocks, 5:30 for the St. Joseph Health pregame show. Aggies, South Carolina. Aggies come in at 5-2, and as we mentioned, 2-2 in the conference, back-to-back wins over Alabama and at Missouri. And Coach, you mentioned that. Is it possible to have a trap game after a trap game?
No doubt. They're all. I mean, we think, well, come home, we're going to play well. Listen, we talk about the 12th man is great, which they're phenomenal. Mm-hmm. You know, I told them, I said, when the 12th man is really, really great? When you're playing really, really well. So that even makes it tougher on South Carolina when you're. They're always great, but I said when you play real well, 12th man's even better. So it makes it tougher on South Carolina. Understand? Because you come home don't mean you play well. Aggies make a difference in Kyle Field. You got to make a difference in Kyle Field. You got to prepare and not think, well, I'm coming back. Well, no. And this team's 4-3. It won more than they did all last year. Shane's done a heck of a job with them defensively. They've created 16 turnovers on defense.
Yeah.
They blocked 3 punts. The returner averaged 31 yards a return on kickoffs. I mean, their field goal kicker is great. Experienced quarterback, great tailback. 6 is a heck of a van, is a heck of a receiver. Mm-hmm. Good veteran offensive line. Defensively, 2 tackles are top 10 players in the country. Number 1 is a great rush in 7, 15 on the edges can rush. 2 physical backers. Corners can run. I mean, this is a very good team. They're playing really well. We're going to have to play really, really well. And they're going to come in here ready to play, and we're going to have to.
We'll get more into that when we return to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood, and Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station for the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It is presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're touching on South Carolina on Saturday at 6:30 at Kyle Field. It will be Zeb Nolan who will be the quarterback. Luke Doty is out for the year.
Yep.
But he started the first 3 games. He's a
veteran, makes good decisions.
Yeah.
And he came in last week and took him down and won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big drive to come down and win that game and made the plays he had to do to win it. So, I mean, you get a veteran guy.
Iowa State before North Dakota State, where he was beat out by Trey Nance, right, who's now in San Francisco. And with that, it's a little bit uncommon for a backup to have that much experience, correct, for someone like that?
No doubt, and it shows when he plays.
Yeah, and you're right. It was that game-winning drive against Vanderbilt in a game that is Shane Beamer's first SEC win. And again, if you say Shane Beamer, you've seen him grow as well as coached against Frank Beamer at Virginia
His dad's
Tech.
one of the great coaches in the history of college football, and Shane learned from a great guy. And he's obviously doing a great job where he's at. Shane, I have a lot of respect for him, what he's done, and was a great assistant, and now he's doing a great job as head coach.
With Frank Beamer, the special teams, you've always talked about the 3 phases, but Frank Beamer really made that in vogue, did he not?
He was a guy who as a head coach, coaches himself.
Yeah.
And you know where he used to go in the offseason, believe it or not, and did a lot of that with the punt blocks and all that, was Florida State. If you go back to the Bobby Bowden days, Florida State was famous in the 80s and 90s for blocking punts. He spent a lot of time with those guys down there and learned some of the schemes and some of the stuff they did.
That goes back to what you'd always said about Coach Bowden, right? Come on, let's talk ball, let's learn ball.
He was all over, man, and he was a shrewd dude, boy.
Yeah. Yes, he was. Virginia Tech, one of the tougher places to play, Jimbo?
Yeah, it was. It really was. He came in there to enter Sandman.
Yeah.
They always cranking it on him when you go through there, those fans. And it's a hard place to get to.
Yeah.
So your travel was tough. It was there, great environment, and they had real good players.
Yeah.
I mean, they had real good players, and it had some great games there.
This for Shane Beamer, is he doing anything different from what Will Muschamp had done in the past? I know it's a lot of the same personnel.
But I mean, they have their own schemes and what they're doing. And listen, Will was a great coach, and Shane's doing his own thing, what he does. And I mean, like I say, they blocked 3 punts, returned the ball very well, playing great defense, very opportunistic on offense, and they're winning games. Yeah,
the 10 interceptions, one it is Jalen Foster has 4 of them, tops in the SEC. And
I mean, they were down 14-0 to East Carolina. East Carolina's driving 3rd and 10 on about the 35 going in. They pick off a screen and run it back, make it 14-7, come back and win that game. Who threw the swing pass? Troy in a big game. It tipped a swing out there on the side. The guy took it back. I mean, a lot of big interceptions in big games. It was Vanderbilt. And got it in there and made that play. I mean, a lot of big turnovers that swung games when they were about to lose or get out of control on them. They would make plays. They're making plays on defense to get them right back in it and then going on and winning them.
We'll talk more about South Carolina, our final segment of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Final segment of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Glad that you have been with us all evening. Thank you for watching the stream on the Texas A&M Football Facebook page and joining us all along the network. And we will be with you on Saturday, beginning at 5:30 for our St. Joseph Health pregame show, 6:30 kick. Foot to ball at 6:39 on Saturday as we talk with Jimbo Fisher ahead of that game against the Gamecocks. You are getting some guys back. You didn't have Jaden Peavy on Saturday.
Yeah.
Good to have him
back.
You
Critical.
talk about defensive tackles who have been real good.
Oh,
Jimbo.
yeah, and rushing the passer. And they actually added size, experience, and length, and, boy, he's having a really good year.
Yeah, between him, you can DeMarvin's just being DeMarvin. I mean,
Yeah.
just an impact guy. And Michael Clemens, the hurries that he's getting.
Yeah, he is. He's keep pushing that pocket and create. Like I say, you don't always have to have sacks to affect the quarterback.
Can you change that timing, right?
Change the timing, make him move his feet, get off his spot. I mean, getting away, long, length, all that whole thing.
Yeah. And Caleb Chapman, do you get him back?
Now, we're going to see. It'll be interesting. I don't know if we'll quite get him back or not.
But you lose Hez, correct? Did you say that on Monday?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's been going, but can't get it rehabbed, so you got to fix it.
Yeah, that's always a shame on that back end on the defensive side. Tyreek Chappelle just continues. Oh, I'm sorry. Antonio Johnson getting that pick in front of family and friends on Saturday. He said he had about 60.
He had about 60 people there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. I was happy for him getting in front of everybody, and he's having such a good year.
Yeah, and it didn't take the interception to, cement how good he has been. He has been one of your best defenders, hasn't he?
One of the best defenders all year, by far.
Jimbo, that back end for the Aggies, you can really mix and match. It's not like someone's just a corner, just a safety, or just a nickel.
You can't
right?
be that way. You have to move around and be able to create matchups in today's game.
Yeah, and with Antonio can absolutely hit. he can do that. He can tackle, right? And it always reminds me, I told you this last year about Tyree Johnson, not just a good pass rusher, but he loves to hit somebody on first and second down.
Yeah.
And that's
3 play down guys.
Yeah.
And be on the field for 3 downs.
That's always nice. What do you want to see from the Aggies on Saturday against South Carolina?
That same energy, that same juice, that same vigor, that strive for perfection and having and not worrying about the scoreboard, going to win my space. I'm going to play my play one play at a time, not worry about the last one, not worry about the next one, worry about the one I'm in right now, and then go to the next play and learn to mature themselves, stay true to the process of what they got to do, and play with great toughness, effort, discipline, pride, alignment, assignment, technique, and just play their tails off. And
you're starting to see that more and more because of Monday through Friday, correct?
You are. You got to. I mean, you're playing, and they're getting back to the basics of what we're trying to do, and just got to keep staying steady. Don't get bored. Don't get bored doing the same things.
That feeling of kicking the lining out of their tail is a good feeling, correct?
It is, and there's one way to do it. You got to put your will upon something. That's hard to do. People don't let you do that. You don't do that just because you want to. You got to do it because you train to and you understand how to.
Coach, beat the hell out of South Carolina.
That's the plan.
Thank you very much. He's Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, who will be taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks, and that will be Saturday from Kyle Field. We'll get things started at 5:30 with the St. Joseph Health pregame show, and then we will join you at 6:30 for that kick. And as we said, that kick will come at 6:39. During our St. Joseph Health pregame show, you will hear Will Johnson's one-on-one with DeMarvin Leal. We'll also hear from a couple of wide receivers, Anaya Smith, the Mr. Do-It-All for Texas A&M, as well as Jalen Preston, who's putting together a solid season for the Aggies. We'll get the final thoughts of Jimbo before that kick. So join Will Johnson, Dave Elmendorf, and me on Saturday from Kyle Field for the Aggies and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Time to tell you that Michael Stone has been the producer of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. That is in our Learfield studios. Tony O'Neill is the producer as well. Kevin Menchow is our engineer. I'm Andrew Monaco for Jimbo Fisher. And if I may mention, we had an opportunity last Saturday in Missouri to be with Tony and Matt Francis, Danielle Brower, Alex, Jacob. Our entire crews got together. We don't get to Missouri very often, so when we did get up there, we got together and had ourselves a great night. From all of us here, the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. Thank you for joining us. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie Football from Learfield.